You can watch this guide straight through in one sitting, or feel free to skip around to each section as needed. Let's get rolling. Before we dive into using the HERO3 Plus, let's take a few minutes to get to know our way around the camera. On the top of the camera, you'll find the shutter button. Press this button to take pictures and record movies. When you're in the camera's menu system, this button also serves as the select button, and it's used to select the current menu item. This is one of the camera's red status lights. This light will indicate when the camera is being turned on or off, recording video or taking pictures. Here is the camera's built-in microphone. On the bottom of the camera is a second camera status light, same as the one on the top. On the left side of the camera is the micro HDMI port, used to connect your camera to an HD TV, a mini USB port, which will allow you to connect your GoPro to your laptop, or with an optional mini USB composite cable to a standard definition television. This port will also allow you to connect an external microphone with an optional 3.5mm mic adapter. And here is the micro SD card slot. On the right side of the camera, you'll find the speaker for the audio alerts and the Wi-Fi on-off button. On the back of the camera is another camera status light, same as the one on the top. The HERO port for connecting to the LCD BacPac or external battery backpack, and the battery door and battery door release lever. On the front of the camera, you'll find the power mode button. This button is used to turn the camera on and off, of course, but it's also used to switch modes on the camera and to scroll forward through menu items in the settings menus. This is the Wi-Fi status light. It will blink in blue when the camera's Wi-Fi is turned on. Here is another camera status light, same as the ones on the top, bottom, and back. And this is the camera's super wide angle, ultra sharp f2.8 6-element lens. And finally, the LCD status screen. This screen displays a variety of shooting settings and other important information, which in video mode includes the shooting mode, the field of view, capture settings modes, movie resolution, frame rate, the counter or number of videos you have recorded, recording time remaining on your memory card, and the battery life indicator. Note that the information that is displayed on the LCD status screen will vary depending on what mode you have your camera set to. In camera mode, you'll see here the size of the image in megapixels and the number of shots remaining before running out of space on your memory card. In burst mode, you'll see the size of the image, the number of shots that will be taken during each burst, and how long the burst will last. For example, it shows that we will be taking 10 photos per second, and again, the number of shots remaining. In time-lapse mode, you'll see the image size and the time interval between images. For example, here it shows us that the camera will take a picture every 2 seconds and the number of images remaining. Now that you know your way around the camera, let's talk about how to get it set up to start making movies. After watching this section, you'll understand the basics of recording a movie, capturing photos and photo bursts, creating a time lapse, and how to view your photos and videos on various devices. Then, in the following sections, we'll dig deeper into the menu system and cover the more advanced operations of the camera. To remove the camera from the housing, simply lift the front part of the latch and pivot the latch backward and up to release the back door. Now you can remove the camera. To secure the camera back in the housing, just drop it in. Close the door, hook the lip of the latch into the grooved top on the housing back door, and push the latch down until it snaps into place. Your camera housing includes 2 types of back doors. The skeleton back door, which is not waterproof but does provide better sound quality because it does not cover the camera's microphone. It also helps to reduce wind noise at high speeds. Remember, the skeleton back door will not protect your camera from dirt, dust, sand, or water, so only use it when these things are not a concern. The other back door that is included with your camera is the standard back door, which will make your housing waterproof up to 131 feet. This back door will seal your housing completely and cover the microphone, so sound quality will not be as good, but it will protect your camera from water and other environmental hazards. To swap back doors, release the latch and open the back door. Pull it downward until it pops off the hinge. Line up the replacement back door and push up on it until it snaps into place. Make sure you keep the rubber sill around the back door completely clean and free of dust, sand, and other small debris. Even a single hair can cause your housing to leak, damaging your camera. To insert the battery, remove the battery door and insert the battery with the contacts toward the top and facing the front of the camera. Then replace the battery door. To charge the battery, connect the included USB cable to the camera and the other end to the computer or an optional GoPro wall or auto charger. The camera status light will turn on while the battery is charging and will turn off when the battery has been fully charged. The GoPro HERO3 Plus has a much longer battery life than previous models, but there are a few things that you can do to maximize battery life. If you're not using the Wi-Fi, turn it off. Turn off or detach the optional LCD BacPac when it's not being used. Turn off Pro Tune mode when you don't need it. Also, extreme cold can decrease battery life, so if you're using the camera in cold weather, try to keep it warm until the actual time of use. Your GoPro will accept microSD, microSD-HC, and microSD-XC memory cards. For shooting video, use a memory card with a Class 10 speed rating. To insert a memory card, make sure that the manufacturer's logo is facing the front of the camera and slide the card into the slot until it clicks into place. When you want to remove the memory card, just lightly press the card into the camera with your fingernail until it springs back out. Then remove the card. To power the camera on, press the power button. The camera status lights will flash 3 times in red and the camera will beep 3 times, indicating that it has been powered on. To turn the camera off, hold the power button down until the camera status light flashes several times. The camera will beep 7 times, indicating that it has been powered off. To record a movie, make sure that the camera is powered on and set to video mode, indicated with this icon. If the camera is not set to video mode, press the power mode button repeatedly until the video mode icon appears on the LCD screen. To start recording, press the shutter button. The camera will beep once and the red status light will flash, indicating that the camera is recording. These status lights will continue to flash as long as the camera is recording. To stop recording, press the shutter button again. The camera will beep 3 times and the red status lights will stop flashing. In movie mode, the camera will continue to record until the shutter button is pressed again. If the battery goes dead or the memory card fills up, the camera will automatically stop recording. Note that if the battery goes dead, the camera will save the recording before powering down. To use photo mode, press the mode button to choose photo, indicated by this icon. Frame your subject and press the shutter button to take the picture. The camera will beep twice and the red status lights will flash, indicating that the picture has been taken. In burst mode, the camera will take a burst of up to 30 photos over the span of 1, 2, or 3 seconds. The number of photos and the duration of the burst can be set in the settings menu, which we'll discuss later. The default setting for burst mode is 30 pictures in 1 second. To capture a photo burst, set the camera to burst photo. Frame your subject and press the shutter button. The red status lights will flash and the camera will beep multiple times. This is a great mode to use for capturing a great action sequence. You might also use this mode to capture the perfect fast action shot by taking a burst photo and extracting the money shot. Your GoPro HERO3 Plus is also capable of time-lapse photography. When the shutter button is pressed in time-lapse mode, The camera will continue to take a picture at specified intervals until you press the shutter button again. These images are then combined to make a time-lapse video. The default interval is 1/2 second, but you can also choose from 1, 2, 5, 10, 30, or 60-second intervals from the settings menu. We'll discuss that later. Time-lapse is a great mode to use for capturing a long event that you would like to play back in a short period of time. To capture a time-lapse sequence, set the camera to time-lapse mode indicated by this icon. Frame your subject and press the shutter button. The camera will beep once, indicating that the time-lapse has started. Each time a photo is taken, the LED status indicator will flash and the image counter will increase by 1. When you're finished, press the shutter button again. The camera will beep multiple times, indicating that the recording is stopped. You can view images and movies from your GoPro camera on a TV, computer, optional LCD BacPac, or on a tablet or smartphone with the GoPro app. To view photos and movies on your TV, you'll need to purchase a micro HDMI cable like this. If your television does not have an HDMI input, you can purchase a USB to composite video cable instead. If you're using the micro HDMI cable, connect the small side to the camera's HDMI port and the other end to the HDMI input of your television. If you're using the USB to composite video cable, connect the USB side of the composite video cable to the camera's USB port and the other end to your TV. Make sure that the camera and TV are powered on and press the camera's mode button until it cycles to the playback mode, indicated with this icon. Then press the shutter select button to enter the thumbnail playback screen. Here you can see a thumbnail preview of the movies and photos captured on your HERO3 Plus. Continuous photos, time-lapse sequences, and photo bursts will display the first image from the series. Press the power mode button to cycle through the images and options on the screen. This is the play all icon. Selecting this icon will start a slideshow of all the movies and images on the HERO3 Plus. This tells you how many pages of images there are and what page you're on. And this is the scroll bar representation of that same information. Selecting this icon will exit the playback menu. Selecting one of these arrows will scroll through the thumbnail pages. To enter the full screen view for a movie or image, press the power mode button to cycle to the image or movie that you wish to view and press the shutter select button to choose it. The full screen view will show different information depending on whether you are viewing a movie, a photo burst, or a time-lapse sequence. In the full screen photo playback, you will see the capture mode, the image number, the battery life indicator, the scroll forward and scroll backward icons, which will scroll you to the previous or next photo or video on the camera, the slideshow icon, which will begin a slideshow of all the movies and images on the camera, and the exit to thumbnail icon, which will return you to the thumbnail playback screen. In the full screen photo burst and time-lapse view, you will see the same information as the full screen photo view with some additional options. This is the view icon. Selecting this will take you to the playback screen for the photo burst or time-lapse. Here you'll see the number of images in the sequence, the playback icon, which will start a slideshow of the sequence, the scroll forward and back icons, which will allow you to scroll through the photos in the sequence, and the back button, which will take you to the previous screen. In full screen movie view, you'll see the movie counter and total length of the movie, and the play icon, which when selected will enter the playback screen and begin playback of the movie. On the movie playback screen, you'll see the pause icon, the fast forward and rewind icons, and the slow speed icon, which will allow you to choose the playback speed. You can choose from normal, half speed, quarter speed, and 1/8 speed. To view images on the optional touchscreen LCD BacPac, Touch the mode icon and choose playback, or simply press the play button on the side of the LCD monitor. The playback screen on the LCD BacPac is the same as it is on your TV, except that you can simply touch the screen and make your selections. You can also view images on your computer, tablet, or smartphone using the free GoPro Studio software and app. We'll go into detail on both the software and app later in this guide. Now that you've got a grip on basic recording and playback, let's dig a little deeper and explore the settings menu. Please note that getting around the settings menu can be a little cumbersome, and you may find it difficult at first to keep track of where everything is. Don't worry, by the time you're through with this chapter, you should have no problem navigating the menu system. Keep in mind that using the LCD BacPac or GoPro app on your smartphone makes getting around the menus substantially easier. To enter the settings menu, press the power mode button to cycle to the settings menu icon and press the shutter select button to select it. Note that you can quickly exit the settings menu at any time by holding down the shutter select button for 2 seconds. The first option under the settings menu is the video mode menu. Here you can make adjustments to the movie resolution, frame rate, and field of view. This is also where you go to turn the auto low light mode on or off. Before discussing these options, let's talk about resolution, frame rate, and field of view. Resolution is the size of the video in pixels. For example, if we say the movie is 1920 by 1080, we mean that it is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels tall. In most cases, you'd refer to the height dimension to describe the video, so the 1920 by 1080 size would be referred to as just 1080. The exception to this is 4K and the 2.7K, which refers to roughly the video's width. For example, the GoPro's standard 4K setting is 3,840 pixels wide by 2,160 pixels tall. Higher resolution video is sharper and has more detail, but also takes up more space on the memory card and is more difficult for computers to process. Now let's discuss frame rate, or frames per second. Frames per second, or FPS for short, refers to the number of images being recorded per second of video. So a frame rate of 24 frames per second would have 24 images in every second of video. A higher frame rate, like 60 frames per second, is great for capturing fast action videos. It allows you to see the action with much better clarity and crisp detail. A slower frame rate, like 24 frames per second, will give your video a cinema look. Traditional film movie cameras record at 24 frames per second, and this frame rate has the distinctive look that you would associate with the big screen. Very high frame rates, like 120 or 240 frames per second, are great if you would like to play back your videos in slow motion. Movies shot at 240 frames per second and slowed down to 60 frames per second will still look smooth and crisp, even at 25% speed. Whatever frame rate you choose, you'll want to remember a higher frame rate equals a larger file size. Field of view refers to how much of the scene you can capture in your image. The wider the field of view, the more of the scene that you'll be able to see in the final movie or picture. With the HERO3 Plus Black Edition, you can choose from a narrow, medium, or ultra-wide field of view. So back to the video mode menu, the first option here is resolution. On the GoPro HERO3 Plus Black Edition, you have 11 options for movie resolution. The first option is 4K 17:9, which is 4,096 pixels tall by 2,160 pixels wide, and has an aspect ratio of 17:9. In this mode, you can only shoot at 12 frames per second. The next option is 4K. Videos shot in 4K will be 3,840 pixels wide by 2,160 pixels tall, and will have an aspect ratio of 16:9. In this mode, you can only shoot at 15 frames per second. Use the 4K options to capture stunning video at the highest resolution your camera offers. 4K is a good option if you would like to pull high-resolution still images from your videos or capture video to use on the big screen or a 4K TV. In both the 4K modes, you'll only be able to shoot with the ultra-wide field of view. This is probably not a good mode to choose for action shots due to the low frame rate. The next is 2.7K 17:9, which is 2,704 pixels wide by 1,440 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 17:9. In this mode, you can only shoot at 24 frames per second. The next option is 2.7K, which is 2,704 pixels wide by 1,524 pixels tall, with an aspect ratio of 16:9. In this mode, you can only shoot at 30 frames per second. The 2.7K modes are also great for capturing stunning high-resolution video with cinema-quality results. In the 2.7K modes, you can choose from a medium or ultra-wide field of view. When shooting in 2.7K or 4K, it's recommended that you use a tripod or fixed position shots. The next option is 1440p, which is 1,920 pixels by 1,440 pixels and has a 4:3 aspect ratio. In this mode, you can shoot at 48, 30, or 24 frames per second. The 1440p option offers the most immersive results for high-action capture due to the wider vertical field of view. This is a great choice for body-mounted shots. In this mode, you can only use the ultra-wide field of view. The next option is 1080p Super View, which is 1,920 pixels wide by 1,080 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 16:9. Super View is a brand new feature on the HERO3 Plus Black Edition that allows you to capture an even wider and more immersive view than standard 1080p. Here's how it works. The camera will capture video in a 4:3 aspect ratio, which will capture a wider vertical field of view, and you'll also see more of the ground and sky in your video. The HERO3 Plus then dynamically stretches the video to fit the 16:9 aspect ratio. Dynamic stretching works by stretching the edges of the image to fit the 16:9 frame while leaving the center of the image untouched. This is a great mode to use in any situation where you'd like to capture as much of your environment as possible. Remember that the edges of the frame will be stretched, so you may not want to use this option if there are people or important subjects near the edges of your framed video. In 1080p Super View, you can choose from 48, 30, or 24 frames per second, and the field of view is locked on ultra-wide. The next option is 1080p, which is 1,920 pixels wide by 1,080 pixels tall, and has an aspect ratio of 16:9. This is probably the most common option and gives you the greatest flexibility when choosing frame rate and the field of view. In this mode, you can choose from 60, 48, 30, or 24 frames per second, and you can choose an ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view. This is a great all-around mode that will capture stunning results in a variety of situations. The next option is 960p, which is 1,280 pixels wide by 960 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 4:3. In this mode, you can choose from 100, 60, or 48 frames per second, and the field of view is locked on ultra-wide. It provides a large viewing area, smooth results, and it's a great mode for high-action body-mounted shots. This is also a great mode to use for slow-motion video. The next option is 720p Super View, which is 1,280 pixels tall by 720 pixels wide, and uses the Super View technology for a more immersive view. This is another great mode for slow motion, fast action, and handheld shots where a wide vertical field of view is desired. You can choose from 100, 60, or 48 frames per second, and it's locked in the ultra-wide field of view. The next option is 720p, which is 1,280 pixels wide by 720 pixels tall, and has an aspect ratio of 16:9. In this mode, you can choose from 120 or 60 frames per second. You can choose an ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view. But the medium field of view is not available when shooting at 120 frames per second. This is a really good mode for slow motion video and a great mode for handheld shots. The final option is WVGA, which is 848 pixels wide by 480 pixels tall and has a 16:9 aspect ratio. This mode shoots at 240 frames per second using the ultra-wide field of view. This is a great mode for super slow motion video that doesn't need to be HD. The next option in the video mode menu is FPS, or frames per second. This is where you choose the frame rate for the video. The options here will vary based on the resolution you've chosen. The next option is FOV, or field of view. Here you can choose from ultra-wide, medium, or narrow. Again, the options will vary depending on the resolution that you've chosen. The final option in the video mode menu will allow you to turn auto low light mode on or off. When shooting in low light environments or in situations where you are quickly moving in and out of low light conditions, the camera will automatically adjust the frame rate in order to achieve the best exposure. Note that low light mode is not available in 720p, 720p Super, and WVGA modes. To exit the video mode menu, select Exit. The next option in the camera settings menu is photo resolution. The settings here will affect pictures taken in the photo burst, and time-lapse modes. You can choose from resolutions of 12 megapixels with a wide field of view, 7 megapixels with a wide field of view, 7 megapixels with a medium field of view, or 5 megapixels with a medium field of view. Pictures taken with a larger megapixel setting will be higher quality. If you plan on printing your images, you'll definitely want to choose the highest quality settings. Keep in mind, though, that higher resolution images will take up more space on the memory card. If your images will be primarily used for the internet, you can probably get away with the lower megapixel settings. The next option in the camera settings menu is continuous photo. The continuous photo mode will allow you to capture photos continuously for as long as the shutter button is being pressed. This is a great mode for capturing an action sequence or taking a series of photos of anything with action in order to extract the perfect shot. You can choose to have 3, 5, or 10 photos taken each second. To return to single photo shooting, set this mode back to single. The next option in the camera settings menu is photo burst. In photo burst mode, your camera will take a burst of photos when the shutter button is pressed. You can choose 3 photos to be taken in 1 second, 5 photos in a second, 10 photos in a second, 10 photos in 2 seconds, 30 photos in 1 second, 30 photos in 2 seconds, or 30 photos in 3 seconds. This is another great option for capturing an action sequence or ensuring that you get the perfect shot. The next option in the camera settings menu is time-lapse. This is where you can choose the interval options for time-lapse photography. You can choose from a half second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. The next option in the camera settings menu is the capture settings. The menu items in the capture settings menu will allow you to further customize your HERO3 Plus with more settings. First, there is the upside down option. Setting this to on will flip your photos and your videos upside down. This is useful when you need to mount your camera upside down for some reason and eliminates the need to flip the photos or videos after recording. The next option is the spot metering option. When set to off, your camera will determine proper exposure by taking overall brightness of the frame into consideration. This is great in most situations, but sometimes your subject may be much darker or brighter than the surrounding areas of the frame, causing your subject to be over or underexposed. If you turn the spot meter on, the camera will determine proper exposure based on the subject in the center of the frame. The next option is simultaneous video and photo. When enabled, this mode will automatically take photos while you're recording video. You can choose to have the camera take a photo every 5, 10, 30, or 60 seconds. Note that this mode is only available in the 1080p 24, 1080p 30, 720p 60, and 1440p 24 modes. This option is also disabled when the camera is in the Pro Tune mode. The next option is looping video. When enabled, looping video will continuously record a looping video of a predetermined length that overwrites itself until you stop it. This number tells you the maximum length of the loop you can record based on your current video settings. If you choose max, the camera will record until the memory card is full and then start to overwrite with a new video. If you choose one of the 5, 20, 60, or 120-minute options, the camera will record for that amount of time before overwriting itself. The recording will be broken into multiple video files, allowing for small segments of content to be overwritten during the loop recording. This option is not available when Pro Tune is turned on. The next option in the Capture Settings menu is Pro Tune. This mode unlocks many benefits that's useful in professional quality productions. First, it offers a higher data rate. Your HERO3 Plus will record at a higher bit rate in Pro Tune mode, giving your video a higher quality look for professional productions. How does bit rate affect video quality? When the camera is recording video, it converts moving images into digital information called bits. The amount of data recorded in a given second is called the bit rate, and it's measured in megabits per second, or Mbps. The higher the megabits per second, the more data you are recording, and the higher the quality of your video. While recording at a higher bit rate may produce superior quality video, it also takes up more space on your memory card. A higher bit rate really shines when shooting video with a lot of action. When there is a lot of camera or subject movement, the finer details of your video can appear blurry or pixelated when a lower bit rate is used. Another benefit of Pro Tune is its neutral color profile. This color profile offers more flexibility during color correction in post-production. Pro Tune's wider dynamic range also captures more details in the shadow and highlight areas of your video. Pro Tune will also let you set custom white balance. What is a white balance? White balance is determined by the color temperature of light sources, which is measured in degrees Kelvin. The higher color temperatures in the area of about 7,500 Kelvin to 5,600 Kelvin are usually found in situations like a sunlit or cloudy day. These shooting situations have a greater amount of cool blue tones and a lesser amount of warm red tones. Lower color temperature situations are measured in the area of 3,500 Kelvin down to 1,900 Kelvin and are found in lighting situations like standard lighting from a tungsten light bulb or a candlelight. These types of shooting situations are found on the lower end of the spectrum and produce greater amounts of warm red tones and lesser amounts of cool blue tones. The last option in the Capture Settings menu is white balance and is only available when Pro Tune is set to on. The first option is auto. In this mode, your camera will automatically determine proper white balance. The next option is 3000K. This is a great setting to use indoor under tungsten light or outdoors during sunrise or sunset. The next option is 5500K, which is a great setting to use in daylight or sunlit shooting. Next, there is 6500K, which is a good mode to use in cool white fluorescent lighting. The last option is Cam Raw. Shooting in Cam Raw gives you the most control of your color and allows you to make precise adjustments to the color during post-processing. Note that when you set Pro Tune to off, your camera will revert back to auto white balance. Now we'll exit the Capture Settings menu and take a look at the next option in the Camera Settings menu, Setup. The first option in the Setup menu is Default Mode at Power Up, which will allow you to choose Video, Photo, Photo Burst, or Time Lapse as the camera's default shooting mode when the camera is turned on. Next is the One Button Mode. When this mode is set to on, the camera will automatically begin recording when powered up. One button mode will work when the camera's default shooting mode is set to either video or time-lapse. To stop the capture process, press and hold the shutter select button for 2 seconds. This will stop the recording process and return you to the one button menu. You can then choose to leave it on or turn it off. The next option in the setup menu is NTSC PAL. NTSC and PAL refer to the different television formats from around the world. For viewing on televisions inside North America, you'll want to set this to NTSC. For most televisions outside North America, you'll probably want to use PAL. Changing this setting will affect the frame rates that are available in the video mode menu. The next option is on-screen display. When monitoring video with the optional LCD BacPac or an external monitor, you can set this to off to hide the on-screen icons during recording. The next option is for the camera status lights. Here you can choose which of the camera's status lights will be active or light up when recording or powering the camera on and off. If you choose 4, all 4 of the camera's status lights will be active. If you choose 2, only the front and back lights will be active. And if you choose off, none of the status lights will be active. The next option is sound indicator. Here you can adjust the volume of the sound indicator. You can choose 100%, 70%, or off. The next option in the setup menu is manual power off. By default, you must manually turn your camera off, but here you can choose to have your camera automatically power down when it's not in use. You can choose to have it power off after 60 seconds, 120 seconds, or 300 seconds. The final option in the setup menu is month, day, time, year. This is where you set the internal clock for the HERO3 Plus to ensure photos and videos are saved with the correct day and time. You can set the month, day, year, hours, and minutes. Note that the time is set using 24-hour notation. Now let's exit the setup menu and return to the camera settings menu. The next option is for wireless controls. You can turn Wi-Fi off, connect to the Wi-Fi remote, or connect to the GoPro app via your smartphone or tablet. We'll talk about the Wi-Fi functionalities of your camera in detail after this chapter. The final option in the camera settings menu is delete. Here you can choose to delete the last photo or video you captured, or you can choose to delete all the photos and videos which will format your memory card. Warning, once a movie or image has been deleted, it cannot be recovered. You can control your HERO3 Plus with the included Wi-Fi remote or with the GoPro app using a smartphone or tablet. Let's first discuss the Wi-Fi remote. Before you use the remote, you'll need to pair it with your camera. To do this, make sure that you have your camera and remote powered off. Then turn on your HERO3 Plus and press the Wi-Fi button located on the side of the camera. Pressing the button once will turn on Wi-Fi. Pressing it again will access the Wi-Fi menu. Now enter the Wi-Fi menu and select Wi-Fi RC. Cycle to New and select it. You'll see the pairing icon on the LCD display. Now grab the remote and hold down the shutter button while pressing and releasing the power button once to turn the remote on in pairing mode. When you see the pairing icon on the remote's screen, you can release the shutter button. An icon will appear on both screens indicating that the devices have been paired. Now you have the option to connect another camera. You can select yes or no to finish the process. Now the information on your camera's LCD will be mirrored on the remote. You'll be able to fully control all of the functions and features on your camera with the Wi-Fi remote. Now let's talk about controlling your HERO3 Plus with a smartphone or tablet via the free GoPro app. You'll first need to make sure that you have the app. You can download the app from the Apple App Store, Google Play, or Windows Phone Marketplace. We'll be demonstrating this process using the iPhone. Turn your camera on and press the Wi-Fi button to turn Wi-Fi on. Press the button a second time to access the Wi-Fi menu. In the Wi-Fi menu, cycle to GoPro app and press the shutter select button. Now go to the settings menu on your iPhone. Choose Wi-Fi and select your camera's network name from the list. It should be GoPro-BP- followed by a series of letters and numbers. You'll be prompted to enter a password. Enter GoPro-HERO and press join. Now open the GoPro app. Here you'll be prompted to give your camera a new name and password. Enter a new name and password and select Accept Settings. Now you'll need to re-enter the iPhone settings menu and choose Wi-Fi and select the new name that you gave your camera from the list. Enter your new password and press Join. Now reopen the GoPro app and select Connect plus Control. Once connected, you'll be able to record photos and videos with a live preview, view movies and images that have been recorded, quickly access the options in the settings menu, and more. After you've already paired your phone with the camera, the connecting process will be much simpler. Next time, you should be able to press the Wi-Fi button on your camera to turn Wi-Fi on, and your phone should automatically connect to the camera. You'll only need to open the GoPro app and press Connect plus Control. Transferring files from your HERO3 Plus is easy. If you're using a Mac, connect the USB cable to your camera and the other end to your computer. Turn the camera on, and when the camera shows up on your desktop, you can double-click the icon. Here you'll find a couple of folders. Double-click the DCIM folder. Inside this folder, you will find a folder labeled 100 GoPro, which contains your movies and images. You can now drag the folder to your computer and view the files. On the PC, you'll want to connect your camera and turn it on. Double-click My Computer and double-click Removable Disk. Double-click the DCIM folder. The folder labeled 100 GoPro will contain your movies and images. You can now copy this folder to your computer. Note that photos taken in time-lapse and photo burst will be saved as a series of separate JPEG files. If you use the free GoPro software, it will automatically recognize images that are part of a time-lapse or photo burst sequence and allow you to easily convert them to movies. Let's talk about the GoPro Studio software now. The free GoPro Studio software provides you with the tools necessary to create professional quality videos and export them in a variety of formats that allow you to share them with the rest of the world. You'll be able to add music, add effects, create slow motion videos, create time-lapse movies, and much more. First, you'll need to download and install the software. To download, go to GoPro.com and click Software in the menu. From here, follow the instructions to download and install the software for your platform. Upon opening the software, you'll be faced with a new project window. A project workflow consists of three main steps. Step 1 is to import and convert. Step 2 is to edit, and Step 3 is to export. Each step has its own work area. Let's start with Step 1, import and convert. Most digital cameras, including the HERO3 Plus, use a special compression that allow them to write large amounts of data to the memory card very quickly and save that data in the smallest file possible. However, these ultra-compressed files are difficult for your computer to decode and play back smoothly. In addition, these compressed files have a hard time holding up under heavy editing and color processing. In Step 1, GoPro Studio will convert your files to the GoPro Cineform format. Cineform files greatly improve playback speed and image quality and are better suited for editing than files directly from your camera. To import your video files, click the Import New Files button and navigate to the folder containing your videos. Select the files you'd like to import and click Open. You'll see your files represented as thumbnails in the import bin. The video thumbnails include the file name, size, frame rate or frame count if it's a time-lapse sequence, whether the video was recorded in 2D or 3D, the video or time-lapse icon, and the duration. To convert a file, click the thumbnail in the import bin. The video will show up in the player window. Here you can play back the video, scrub to specific areas of the video using the playback slider and the forward-backward one-frame buttons. You can adjust the playback volume using the volume controls. For full screen view of the video, you can press the full screen button. Press Escape to exit the full screen view. To select the area of video you'd like to convert, move the playhead to the frame that you'd like your clip to start on and click the Mark In Point button. Then move the playhead to the frame that you'd like your clip to end and click the Mark Out button. The area of the video represented with the light gray bar will be converted. If you'd like to convert the entire clip, then don't set in and out points. If your video was captured upside down, you can click the Rotate Flip button to automatically turn it right side up. The Advanced Settings button will allow you to choose the resolution and frame rate of your converted files. Clicking this button will allow you to speed up the footage. You can then use the slider to adjust the speed. When speeding up your footage, you can click the Motion Blur button to make the video look a little smoother. Here you can select the quality of your video. You can choose low, medium, or high. Remember, the higher the quality, the larger the file size. Once you've entered all the settings, you can click this button to remember the settings for future clips. Now click OK. Here you can change the file name of the converted video. And here you can choose the location you'd like the file saved to. Click Add Clip to Conversion List and repeat the process for any other clips you'd like to convert. To remove a clip from the conversion list, select it and click Remove Clip. You can click Clear All to clear the conversion list completely. After adding your clips to the conversion list, click Convert. GoPro Studio will begin converting your clips. This process could take a while depending on the size and number of clips. After the clips have been converted, click Proceed to Step 2. This is the Edit Work Area or Edit Room. Here you can trim and combine your clips to create a complete movie. You can add transitions, add music or other audio, add titles, adjust color, speed, contrast, and more. Let's piece together a short movie to show how this process works. Over here in the import bin, you'll see the clips that you've just converted. To import other converted movie clips or audio tracks, click the Add Media button. This is the Create New Title button. We'll talk about that in a bit. When you select a clip in the media bin, it will show up in the player window. Use the in and out point markers to select the area of your clip you'd like to add to your movie. Now you can drag your clip to the timeline. Only the area of the clip you selected will be added to the timeline. Now do this with the rest of your clips. If you want to insert a clip in front of another clip, just drag it to that area. You can also reorder clips by dragging and dropping them. To remove a clip, simply drag it out of the edit room. Get all of your clips organized the way you want them. You can fine-tune the length of your clips by selecting the clip in the timeline and adjusting the in and out points in the player window. You can also move the segment slider bar to choose a different section of your clip while keeping the clip the same length. These techniques are useful when you're trying to sync your video to an audio track. Let's do that now. To add an audio track, click the Add Media button and navigate to your audio file. Select it and click Open. Drag the audio file to the audio section of the timeline. Now you can sync your video and audio. I'll take a minute and get it just the way I want it. You can adjust the length of your audio clip by dragging the edge. Here you can adjust the volume of your audio track and choose to have it fade in or out. We'll have the audio fade out. Use the slider to set the length of the fade in seconds. Now that we've got our video and audio lined up, the way we like it, we can start adding some transitions and effects. You have two options for transitions, a hard cut or a dissolve. The default is a hard cut, where one clip jumps directly to the next. To add a dissolve, you can click the plus button between the two clips. This will cause the two clips to fade together, creating a softer transition. To remove a transition, select it and press delete or just drag it out of the edit room. Now let's twirl down the video settings. You can adjust the speed, direction, and the fade in or out points of any clip. We'll select this clip and slow it down a bit and add a 3-second fade out. We'll lengthen the audio track to match the new length of the clip and see how it looks. Okay, the white balance settings will allow you to change the color and color temperature of your clips. For a cooler color, you can slide the temperature slider to the left. For a warmer overall color, slide it to the right. You can also adjust the tint with this slider. You can automatically set the white balance of your clips by clicking the color selector and then clicking on a white object in the frame. This can give you great results, but doesn't always work as expected. We'll bypass the white balance settings and move on to the image adjustments. Here you can fine-tune the exposure, the contrast, the color saturation, and the sharpness of your clips. Next, you can adjust the framing of your image. You can zoom, move it horizontally and vertically, rotate it, and even dynamically stretch it to fit the frame just how you like. Under presets, you can choose from a number of awesome color presets to quickly give your movie a more dynamic look. You can choose from 1970s, which will give your movie a 70s color style, 4:3 center crop, which will zoom in on a clip with a 4:3 aspect ratio to make it fit the 16:9 frame, 4:3 to wide, which will dynamically stretch your 4:3 clips to fit the 16:9 frame, Candy color, which will add a high color saturation effect to your clip, day for night, which will make your daytime clips look like they were shot at night, hot day, which will give your clips a warm color effect that simulates being closer to the sun, night vision, which will simulate the look of viewing through night vision goggles, ProTune, which will make your ProTune shots look more punchy, sepia, which will give your clips a sepia tone, vignette large and medium, which will add a vignette effect to your clips, and vignette off, which applies a small vignette to the corners of your clips. You can select Reset All to remove all presets from your clips. Now let's add a title. To do this, click the Add Title button. This will create a new title in the media bin. Drag the title to the title section of your timeline. You can change the length of the title by dragging its edges. You can position the title by dragging it in the play window. Here you can change the text, edit the font attributes, including font family, color, outline, and size. And here you can change the opacity, fade in and fade out time, kerning, baseline, and parallax of the title. Now we can play back the entire movie. If everything is looking exactly the way we want it, we'll move on to step 3, export. Enter a name for your movie and choose where you'd like it saved. Here you can select from a number of preset export settings. Mobile creates a lower quality MP4 file suitable for playback on mobile phones and other portable devices. HD 720 will create a 1280 by 720 video with a bit rate of 8 megabits per second. The HD 1080 setting will create a 1920 by 1080 movie with a 15 megabits per second bit rate. Archive creates a GoPro Cineform movie file. With this setting, you can choose from a high, medium, or low quality file. Vimeo creates an above average quality MP4 file with a bit rate of 15 megabits per second. YouTube creates an average quality MP4 file with an 8 megabits per second bit rate. Or you can choose custom to select your own settings. Now, click Export and the movie will be saved. This can take quite a while depending on the length of your movie. GoPro's studio software is capable of much more than we have discussed here, but this really should get you up and running. You can download the complete user manual from the support section of the GoPro website. Your HERO3 Plus is a sophisticated camera and will need some basic care and maintenance to keep it in good working condition. To remove dust and lint from the HERO body, a blower or brush is a good tool to have on hand. With either of these tools, you can also clean the lens and LCD. To further clean the GoPro, you can use a soft, dry cloth. Do not use alcohol or any other harsh chemicals. You can dampen the cloth with distilled water to clean the camera body. After the blower tool has been used to remove any dust and lint, you can use a soft cloth with a small amount of lens cleaner to gently clean the lens and LCD. When you're using lens cleaning fluid, be sure to apply the fluid to the cloth and not the camera or lens directly. You'll also want to keep your housing clean. Take great care to make sure that the rubber seal that lines the camera is kept clean. A single hair or grain of sand can cause the housing to leak, causing damage to your camera. Always rinse the housing with distilled water after use in salt water, otherwise corrosion can build up and compromise the seal, causing the waterproof housing to fail. Also, you'll want to periodically remove your seal and rinse it with fresh water. After rinsing, shake it dry. Do not use a lint cloth, as debris from the cloth can get stuck and compromise the seal. Be careful when reinstalling the seal. Make sure it fits snugly into the grooves of the housing and that it does not get twisted. You can apply an anti-beading solution, such as Rain-X, to the housing in order to keep water spots from forming. If you don't have an anti-beading solution, you can also lick the housing lens to keep water from beading. We hope you've enjoyed learning more about your GoPro HERO3 Plus Black Edition. We know this new information will give you enough confidence and know-how to take your shooting skills to new levels. Remember, you can refer back to any section of this guide at any time. Watch for more QuickPro guides on using newly released cameras. Thanks for watching.